Now, while the U.S. president may be upset with Canada and the Ontario Premier right now, Doug Ford does have an ally in a group called the Save America Movement, or SAM. They've made their own video that also uses a speech from Ronald Reagan. It was released today, and in that video, it praises Canada because the movement thinks Doug Ford is correct. Tariffs are bad, they say, and Reagan would have said so.
Canada and the United States have always worked together to build a world with peace and stability, a world of freedom and dignity for all people. Though we share bilateral interests with countries throughout the world, none exceeds the economic, cultural, and security interests that we share with you. Final word to the people of Canada. We're happy to be your neighbor. We want to remain your friend. We're determined to be your partner. And we're intent on working closely with you in a spirit of cooperation. We are much more than an acquaintance.
Well, for more, we're now reaching out to Stephen Schmidt. He is the co-founder of the Save American Movement, the creators of the ad you just watched. Schmidt is also a former Republican strategist who worked on the campaigns of George W. Bush, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and John McCain. He also hosts his own podcast called The Warning. Steve, nice to see you again. Thank you for joining us today.
Good to be with you, Michael.
So here we have Premier Ford being heavily criticized by many Canadians for running this ad. His ad, not yours. Donald Trump using the Ford ad as a reason to stop trade talks with Canada, but you're defending the Ontario Premier. Why?
Well, Premier Ford recognizes something that's elemental to understanding the Canadian-American relationship. The border does not divide these two countries, it joins them, and that's what President Reagan talked about. The American economy is in a state of collapse. It is crashing, in part because of the tariffs. The United States and Canada have a $1 trillion trading relationship. Trump's sycophantic Treasury Secretary said Canada was running a psyop. Canada was trying to inappropriately influence American public opinion. Nonsense. It's a fit of petulance and pettiness by Donald Trump. You cannot appease him. At the end of the day, Donald Trump is for tariffs. Ronald Reagan was against them. They're terribly destructive. And Doug Ford's ad is not the reason that Donald Trump is attacking Canada. It is Donald Trump's maliciousness. That's the reason.
Okay, his maliciousness is what you point to, but you know, you're a political strategist. If you or a client wanted to stop these tariffs from happening or from continuing, what would you say about the efficacy of this ad? Because it seems to have only alienated the U.S. president.
He's easily alienated by the truth. And the truth is these tariffs and his trade policies are devastating the economies of the United States. Go talk to somebody who lives in Florida and has a small business where there's no Canadian tourists, or somebody in Palm Springs, California. This is real life. Again, the province of Ontario has every right to communicate to its partners. It's the largest trading partner for dozens of states, and they quoted an American president, and Donald Trump lost his mind because Donald Trump punishes speech. He punishes dissent. And the message the premier sent was an important one to be heard in America, and that's why we're amplifying it.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You are amplifying it. You're launching this new ad campaign, which builds on the argument to keep alliances and the relationship with Canada going. Why do you think that's important for Americans to know?
The most important alliance the United States has in the world is with the country to our north of 40 million people. This is the longest undefended border in world history. These two nations are joined by a common devotion to freedom. Our families live across this border. Our economies, our history are forever entwined. This relationship transcends Donald Trump. And we're going to take the Doug Ford ad and we're going to replay that ad exactly, except for we're going to put graphics over it that show the devastation to ordinary Americans of the Trump economy. So we'll show the foreclosure rates on autos and homes and all the markers of the real economy against the Doug Ford ad. Donald Trump's offended by the truth and being confronted by reality. And anybody who blames the person who told the truth is somebody, whether they know it or not, or aware of it or not, or a fellow traveler with the person who is assailing the truth and are appeasing somebody who is petty, who is malicious, and doesn't need an excuse for his aggression. It's a nonsensical argument.
You know, I think there will be many Canadians who are suffering right now who will be happy to know that you're going back for them, Steve, or back to them, Steve. But, you know, there was a new poll that came out last week here in Canada, and I want to share this survey with you. This is from the Angus Reid Institute, and they reported that more Canadians now see the United States as a greater threat or enemy than the People's Republic of China. What's your reaction to that?
I think that's true. I think the United States has become a profound threat to Canada in the administration of Donald Trump. You have an American president that degrades the United States' most important ally, insults its prime minister, insults the premiers of its provinces, talks about territorial expansion. The United States and Canada are two of the three principal countries that saved the world on the 6th of June, 1944. Donald Trump has tried to snuff out Canadian independence. His ambassador, Pete Hoekstra, is a disgrace. And every Canadian should appreciate that Donald Trump is as much a threat to Canada as he is to the liberty of Americans. And that's why there are 500,000 Americans who've joined the Save America movement in the last 8 weeks.
So you say that, and as I pointed out earlier, you are a political strategist. What would your advice then be to the Canadian premiers, to the Canadian Prime Minister, as to how to move forward in terms of trying to break this logjam of tariffs against Canadian trade?
The Canadian premiers have to hang together. They will make a stand together, or they will all hang separately, so to speak. This is an important moment for Canada. And the truth is, the only Western leader who has managed the Trump relationship effectively at all is Mark Carney. And so there are a lot of Americans who look at the steadfastness of the Canadian Prime Minister and of the Canadian people who will not get on a knee to Donald Trump. So when Canadians talk about elbows out, it's important for Canadians to know how much meaning that has for millions and millions and millions of Americans who feel a deep love of Canada, a deep affinity for the Canadian people, and feel the energy and good wishes for liberty from those Canadian people back towards the United States in this time of testing and crisis.
Steve, I really appreciate the time this evening. Thank you for this.
My pleasure.